The air hung thick with valley damp, and dust motes danced in the lone lamp. Young Sarah knelt, her small hands pressed where fever burned within his chest. Her brother Elias, pale and thin, fought battles only ghosts can win. The healer's herbs had failed the blight that stole his breath and dimmed his sight. She clutched a threadbare travel cloak and whispered oaths the morning broke, to walk the woods, the barren trails, to seek the cure where wisdom fails. The world outside the village walls was wild and deaf to desperate calls, yet she went forth, a shadow small, determined not to lose him all. Beneath the boughs of ancient oak, a woman sighed and softly spoke. Her hair was white as mountain snow, her eyes held kindness, gentle, slow. Child, you seek what cannot be bought, a life returned, a battle fought. I know the blight that holds your kin, the cruelest curse that dwells within. Sarah rushed close, her fear misplaced, but hope renewed and urgent haste. The crone described her potent draft, a magic potion swiftly quaffed, a binding spell, a final plea to turn the tide of destiny. But magic demands a payment due, a single life for one made new. The crone's kind smile goes strangely light. I ask no gold, the elder sighed. Your brother's future, bright and clear, is bought with what you hold no steer. When your days end, your mortal plight, your soul will be my candlelight. For Elias to wake and live today, your afterlife I pray him away. Sarah saw Elias frail and weak, the shallow breaths, the silent cheat. The choice was none, the cost untold, a future bartered for the cold. Immediate mercy of the deal, she said, take mine and let him heal. The crone produced a woven thread, the fine print went unread. She lost her religion through her to live unnoticed contradiction. The doll took hold, the bargain struck, a trailer shook the forest muck. She ran back fast, the potion poured, and watched the life return and stored. His breathing calm, the flush one is gone. Elias slept until the dawn. The village cheered a miracle, they raised a toast for his watched him wake that day, his eyes held shades of far away. He spoke no word, he took no hand, he merely stared across the land. His body lived, his sickness fled, but Elias's mind was cold and dead. A hollow victory, hard and bleak, the life she bought was only me. Unchanging, quiet, a soul he lay, a breathing effigy of Christ. The years crawled by, the bargain held and said Windy could tether pulling till she'd break. The world grew grey, the sun too bright. The food she ate brought no delight. Her heart, once warm, began to chill. She found a bitter, twisted will. Each passing day, a vital fire within her breast began to tire. For kindness freed, her empathy gone, replaced by shadows of the dawn. She grew sharp-tongued, quick to deride a constant emptiness inside. The village gates were barred and locked. At every door the shadows knocked. They whispered names of witch and blight, cursed the girl who brought the night. For Sarah walked with heavy tread, a crown of thorns upon her head. The brother she had sought to save was but a corpse outside the grave. She found him sitting by the well, under that same silent spell. Elias watched the water run, unblinking in the midday sun. She screamed his name, she shook his frame, but nothing lit the frozen flame. I gave my soul, she wailed in vain, and all I bought was living pain. A sudden wind began to moan through hollow wood and ancient stone. The air grew thick with mountain damp, and out went every flickering lamp. The forest floor began to heave as shadows wove a dark weave. And there she stood beneath the oak, the woman who had softly spoke. To break the deal that she had made, she plunged it deep within her chest to find that long-awaited rest. But as she fell, no blood did flow, only a dim and violet glow. The crone reached out with fingers thin and peeled away the shedding skin. Spit shore. I want the wick of hate and gold to burn the brightest of them The crone walked back to the ancient wood, where the hollow oak forever stood. She placed the jar upon a shelf, beside a likeness of herself. 1,000 jars in rows of 3, the lanterns of her family tree. Candles burn for the damned ones who signed the deed. Corner dim and blue, a candle burned for really us two. The valley burned, the flag was torn. We cursed the day that we were born. Elara pointed to the waste, where ancient secrets were encased. We spoke of Mireen's holy ring, a weapon fit to kill a king. We read the scroll of dragon skin that said the danger lies within. We walk the path where nothing grows, amidst the dust and ashen snows. We found the door of seamless steel, a tomb that time could not unseal. Secret knock, I watched her pick the silent lock. The air rushed out with stale decay, a breath from a forgotten day. No torches lit the halls of stone, just shadows where our light was thrown. We found a chamber round and vast, a relic of the distant past, and there it floated humming low, a circle with a violent glow. It wasn't gold, it wasn't jam, it was She buoyantly smiled like a mother to a child. We walked into the lion's den. We faked a broken happy grin. We dropped the chest upon the ground and made a hopeless weeping sound. The ring of Mireen, I told the Lord, is mightier than any sword. We kneel before a mercy plea. Just let us go, just set us free. The general's eyes were wide with greed. He paid our warning little heed. He took the box, he took the bait, and sealed his army's hollow fate. We crawled away to watch the show as night released the violet glow. They opened up the leaden crate to celebrate their conquered state. No arrows flew, no iron clashed, but soon their teeth and spirits gnashed. An invisible fire burned them slow. The ways a soldier cannot know. They grew too weak to lift a spear. Their victory dissolved in fear. The sickness took the young and old and turned their warm blood into cold. Elara died beneath a tree, a final quiet victory. The general rotted on his throne, a king of dust and crumbling bone. Now I am left to fade away. I will not see another day. The crown remains upon the floor to kill The general rot upon the chair. The poison smoke hung in the air. The crown he stole, the prize he kept, while all his dying army slept. It sat upon his hollow skull. The violet light grew never dull. It heated up a silent forge, a star within the castle gorge. It seared the bone, it seared the skin, the ancient fire deep within. It ate the flesh and hit the stone. A king left sitting on his throne, but granite could not hold the heat. It burned a circle at his feet. It melted down through floor and slate, a heavy burning holy weight. It sank beneath the castle keep into the earth, buried deep. It left no trace of gold or gem, the crown of ancient seraphim. But on the floor where it had lain remained a perfect charcoal stain, a radiant hoop that blackens you. of silent dread to rob the long forgotten dead. They saw the mark upon the floor, a shape they'd heard in myths of yore. They did not see the crown that fell, they only saw the gate to hell. They whispered of the dragon scroll that Mireen paid a heavy toll. This is the weapon, someone cried, the ring she wore before she died. They traced the ash, they traced the burn, with no real history to learn. It is the Ring of Mireen, the darkest shape they'd ever seen. So now they hunt a ring of black. There is no way to turn them back. They do not know the crown lies low beneath the rock a mile below. They chase a shadow, chase a ghost, while radiation burns the most. The truth is buried, lost and gone, and so the legend carries on. I tumble through the marble hall, I juggle knives against the wall. A queen is watching from her chair, she's losing clumps of golden hair. I catch the blade, I cut my thumb to make the little prince go numb. He claps his hands, he shrieks with glee. He doesn't see the misery. The wine is pouring rich and red to wash the teeth right out the head. The Duke is wearing heavy lead to keep the skin upon the dead. They paint their faces thick and white to hide the burns from violent light. They smell like copper, smell like rust, but turn the music up they must. Dance for the sick ones, prayers for the dying. Laugh at the tears at the Duchess is crying. Are they from laughter? Are they from pain? Or is it the losing or something inside on the brain? I tell a joke about a cat who ate a glowing poison rat. The gentle laughs and slaps his knee and coughs a lung up just for me. He hides the blood into his sleeve and tells for servants not to grieve. It's just a crow he loud proclaims while burning with invisible flames. I see the sores beneath the lace. I see the skull behind the face. I see the shadows you start to crawl. I see you writing on the wall. But if I stop, or if I frown, they'll take my bells and take my crown. So I must grin and I must hope until the beating heart will start. The prince is sleeping in his plate. He couldn't handle all the weight. The promise sinking through his brow. It's happening right here and now. The king stands up to give a toast, but he has nothing but a ghost. His sword hinges wide and loose and spills the heavy rotten I take a bow, I kiss the floor, I somersault towards the door. The room is silent, still and deep. The heavy secrets that they keep, I leave them there, I leave them be. The joke is on them, and the joke is on me. The thaw when the ground was soft, leaving mud where the snow used to be. The smoke hit his lungs like a chemical cough, black branches where he'd grown a tree. The silence was heavy, a vacuum of sound, no lumen, no laughter, no breath, just footprints of strangers sunk deep in the ground, and the smell of a farm kissed by death. He walked through the shell where the roof beams had cracked like ribs that were broken and charred. He found what he lost where the timbers were stacked, and his heart turned to something hard. No scream for the heavens, no tear for the cheek. Those belong to a man who is young. He stared at the shoes, so leather and sleek, and the song that would never be sung. He went to the barn where the shadows were deep, and dug with his nails in the dirt. He woke up the steam from its 20-year sleep, ignoring the blood and the hurt. The oilcloth peeled from the blade, heavy grand housekeeper was cold in the hand. He stripped off the tunic of simple homespun to answer the violent command. The chainmail was red with the dust of the rust. It flaked on his skin like dried blood. But he buckled a lever, betraying the trust of the peace he had made with the mind. He looked in the well at the face on the rim, a stranger with frost in his beard. The farmer was dead and the future was grim, but the wolf had returned as he did. He tracked them for days through the roots and the stones with the patience that rage cannot know. He felt the old ache deep inside of his bones, but he moved like the drift of the snow. He passed by a farmer who trembled in fear, but Aldrin just rode past the gate. He didn't need soldiers or men with a spear. He was right aglow with his fate. The sun started sinking, the shadows grew long. He spotted the smoke by the mill. He loosened the sword for the terrible song and waited completely and still. He wasn't the hero who charges and cries, or a boy who is answering a call. The fire was gone from his slate-colored eyes. He was winter behind the He found them encamped by the edge of a stream, drunk on the wine from his store. It felt like the end of a terrible dream as he stepped through the dark open door. The rain started falling, a hiss in the fire, slicking the rust on his mail. He walked through the mud, the muck and the mire, the ending of his little tale. Who goes there? The sentry cried out in the dark, stumbling up from the wine. Eldrin moved fast, faster than time, crossing the deadly red line. No wasted motion, no flourish of breath, just a step and a sickening sound. The sentry was greeted by instant cold death before he could fall to the ground. The camp was chaos, they scrambled for steel, but the old man was already there. He made them fear, he made them feel with the violence precise and unfair. He caught a spear thrust in the crook of his arm and snapped the man's bone with a simple twist. He moved like a machine intended for harm, the silence surrounded by men. It wasn't a battle, a duel or a fight. It was work for a master of trade. He painted the ground with the colors of light, with the edge of the heavy gray. ducked under swings that were clumsy and slow, and drove the pommel gently home. He weighed every soul by the fire's glow, and quenched them like griddle fry over a stone, wearing the cloak of the old man's wife. He screamed, "Take the gold! I am here alone! Just take it and spare me my life!" He threw down a bag that jingled with coin, begging with eye wide and wild, that Eldring thought about his slain boy and the vengeance-torn mother and child. Silver, the old voice was rough, like gravel grinding on glass. I hear far the silence, I'd heard quite enough, and he let the last moment pass. One swing for the quiet, one swing for the dead, and the begging was cut from the air. The rain washed the blade that was heavy and wet, and left only silence right there. Planted his house flag in the sand. He made peace with the ghost of the innocent dead, with the iron still gripping his head. He waded out deep where the current was strong, and baptized himself for the sins today. He turned to the road, for the journey is long. The gate is thick, the wall is tall. We fear no beast, we fear no fall. The valley sleeps in shadow deep, where we sleep in our silent vigil keep. The lantern creaks upon the hook, and I just like the history book, until the wood began to splinter, desperate sound in dead of winter. He didn't come to knock, he didn't come to call, he just threw his body at the wall. He clawed the oak with fingernail and screamed a word like ripping sail. We pulled the bar, we dragged him in, a scarecrow wrapped in human skin. The road is long, the road is curved, I got exactly what I served. He told me, run until you break. He told me of the forest lake. I checked the map, I checked the sun, but I can't retell what is done. Be still, I said, and held the light to see the stranger in the night. He grabbed my coat, he pulled me near, and whispered venom in my ear. He looked at the star above my lip, and the sanity began to slip. The spark, it split in two. The warlock said I'd run to you. The man with the lip that We put him in a holding cell to let him rest, to break the spell. The room was soft with straw and heat to warm his bruised and bloody feet. He paced the stones, he wouldn't sit. He mumbled of the bottomless pit. He scratched his neck until it bled and argued with the unseen dead. Don't trust the quiet, don't trust the nice. The warlock rolls the weighted dice. He said the end is not a fight. He said the end is soft and light. I see the spiders in the wall. I hear the warlock's final call. He looked so weak, he looked so thin, with hollows in his bearded chin. My wife came down with broth and bread. The man is starving, so she said, we cannot leave him here to rot. Whatever sickness he has got. She walked inside with gentle grace, a kindness on her weary face. Drink this, she whispered, bending low. It's warm and sweet to help you go to sleep and rest your heavy mind. She was the best of womankind. The madman turned, he saw the spoon. He saw the steam rise like the moon. He saw the kindness in her eye and gave a sharp and sudden cry. Now, the third, I know the truth. The warlock's choke. The warlock's kick. You will not die by enemy steel. You'll die by those who help and heal. Tuck it away, don't feed me lies. I will not ease your alibis. Lunch to knock the bowl away, to keep the prophecy at bay. He didn't mean to hurt the wise. He only fought to save his lives. He flailed his arms and didn't fly to leave the helpful hands behind. I saw him strike, I saw her fall. I rushed the cell, I crossed the wall. I grabbed him by his collar tight to stop the madness and the fight. I shoved him hard, a soldier's check, to keep him from her fragile neck. I pushed too hard, the floor was slack, the sound was loud and he clicked. His head went back against the stone, a sudden snap of neck and bone. He crumpled down, the fight was done. The warlock's game is finally won. My wife sat up unharmed and well, while silence filled the holding cell. The bowl of broth lay on the ground, the only mercy to be found. He died because we tried to care. The prophecy hung in the air. The happy end, the pilly flew exactly as he said it foot slick on steel. Mud-bound we marched, minds mired in mist. Banners bleached bone white, breathing was burdened. 50 good friends there, facing what's lurking. Garen the giant, telling of his day, told us of taverns and tales he would tell. We kept our courage cold in the clay, waiting for warlords to wake up the hell. No arrows marked, no armies arrived, just the sky splitting sunder, the violet light. I dove into death, dark down deep, pulled a pink pale priest to protect my peace. Split sunder, scorching the soil. Violet venom vomited vast. Flame fell fast, flesh fed the fire. Blade mail peeled like paper in blast. Sound was silence, a sudden snap. Lungs lost life in the light's cold lash. It beats in the madman's view. I saw Garen's downfall, skin slipping slow. Boiled inside bronze, begging for breath. Garen looked up at the night, nowhere to go. No blades of block, just helpless death. Courage crumbled, cravens we came, running like rats from the ruined place. No arrows hearts, no armies arrived, just the sky splitting sunder, the violet light. I dove into death, dark down deep, pulled a pink pearl priest to protect my peace. When under Henry, healed my heart, slithered my sons in the sleds. The wind beast walks, watching the waves, trudging through mud, crunching on sinners, eating the dead, roaring with evil, calling their blood. United mockingly, mourning at me, rising from rot, let children names alone in the ash, no life to save. Garen is gone, just gristle and grey. Now bearded by his bliss in a broken bar. They call me captain, they call me czar, but I see the smoke when I sleep and snore. And Garen's ghost, dangerous even more. No arrows marked, no armies arrive, just the sky splitting sunder, the violet light. I dove into death, dark down deep, pulled a pink pale priest to protect my peace. I dove into death, dark down deep, pulled a pink pale priest to protect my peace. I say, hey, no my man, my corpse in a cold, passing the cloud. Living is losing when loved ones are lost.